Hello and welcome to my latest video. So in this video I'm going to be taking a look at the Golden Demon that was held recently in Essen in Germany, and it's the first time I've been to Germany as well, so kind of an exciting experience for me. But before I get into that too much, I just want to have a quick shout out to Bruce and Alex from my Discord, who have provided me with a little bit of extra footage and some photos to bulk out the video, because due to my own fault I missed my chance to go around all the cabinets and record everything, so I had to do my recording while the queues were all there, and it's quite hard to actually record the cabinets with lots of people around, so it's a little bit of a mishmash. Mine's all the poor quality video, but there should still be quite a few models for you to get a general idea of what happened in the Golden Demon. But hopefully for the next one I'll be a little bit more on the ball and you'll be able to see all the models. Also, most of the stuff that you're going to see is from the middle section of the shelving from the cabinets. There's a good reason for that. It's due to the lighting. I'll talk about that in a little bit. So the Golden Demon was held as part of Spiel, which is a humongous trade show, and we're talking tens of thousands of people, much bigger than a Warhammer Fest or anything like that. And if you went to this event expecting a Warhammer Fest, I think you might have been a little bit disappointed, because the only Games Workshop stuff that you would experience would be Golden Demon. There was a small shop for you to buy the models and some of the event only models, I think, and there was a small area for doing some painting as well, but ultimately it was just Golden Demon. The other thing is, if you're a little bit like me, a little bit introverted, because it's a trade show, like we're talking tens of thousands of people here, the noise is overbearing. There's a lot of stuff going on, and if you're not interested in all the other board games, like you're interested in Golden Demon or just Warhammer in general, then the rest of the event is not that relevant to you. But as long as your expectations were in check, you would have had a Golden Demon, and it's kind of, it's Golden Demon, so you get what you expect. The cabinets were pretty standard, so if you've ever been to a Golden Demon before, they're usually laid out in a rectangle. You can go around the outside and just look at everything on that's available. The only problem was that the handing in area was part of that rectangle, so the queue for handing your model in sort of clashed with the queue for everyone going around the cabinets. Fortunately, Golden Demon was over 4 or 5 days, I can't remember now, but it was a long time, so you didn't have to worry that you were going to be late handing your model in. You had plenty of opportunity to hand them in. The only disappointing thing I would say is, during the weekend that Golden Demon was held, Games Workshop also had an online preview thing, so in that they were showing off all the new models that are coming out, and it would have been nice, I think, to have some of those models in cabinets or whatever, so you could have a bit of a more enriched experience, just to see in the flesh the new models that they were previewing. But I mean, that's besides the point, really. But just to get into the Golden Demon itself. So if you've been to Adepticon, which was the last Golden Demon before this, you probably noticed that the lighting in the cabinets was absolutely atrocious. And this was because they had underlighting, lights coming in from the side. The area wasn't sealed, so some of the cabinets had light from outside, which was kind of nice and diffused. So if you were on that side of the cabinets, you had, like, people were easily able to see your models. Then if you were on the other side, you could have had awful lighting and everything just looks bad. The real bad thing is, if you have underlighting and you've painted your model with a top-down light source, then it completely messes up the whole view of the model, and it just makes everything look bad. So in this Golden Demon, there was no underlighting, so that was already a big improvement. However, as I mentioned earlier in the video, a lot of the filming that I've done is just from the middle shelves, and that was the same for most people as well, because the top shelf, although the light in the cabinet was top down, they'd pushed the models quite close to the front of the cabinet, and you could only see, because the shelving was high, you were either looking at the model straight on or looking upwards at them, depending on how tall you were. And because the lights were only in the center of the cabinet, all you could really see of the models was a silhouette, because there was no light coming in at the front of the models, which meant that you couldn't really see them. So not ideal if you've gone to Golden Demon to actually have a look at them. The lighting on the middle shelves, for whatever reason, was just much clearer. The bottom shelves, it was just a case of, because they're low down, it's hard to get a look at them. I mean, they're really low down. They're literally on the floor, the very bottom area. Not ideal for showing off models. Quite hard to have a good look at them. So it's, like I say, it's a bit better than Adepticon. Still not ideal. I don't know why Games Workshop can't fix the lighting in the cabinets just to make it, all you need is some lights at the top front of each shelf pointing down towards the models and slightly back, so every model in the shelf looks clear, nice daylight lamp, LEDs, whatever, and you'll be able to see them. It doesn't seem that hard to me, but obviously I don't know what the exact reasons are for the way the Games Workshop set up their lighting like this. I just wish it was a bit better. Also, for this Golden Demon, it was the first one where there was a guest judge. So at Adepticon, they had the same judges there as they did here, the ones that work for Games Workshop. Unfortunately, I don't know about unfortunately, but for me personally, the judges that they have, they are not heavy metal team members. So it used to be, if you're familiar with Games Workshop, especially for Golden Demons held in the UK, they were always judged by the heavy metal team, and that is no longer the case. Now, I don't know how it affects the overall quality of the judging, and it's not my place to say what's good or bad in judging for Golden Demon, because ultimately my opinion is irrelevant. Everyone else's opinion is irrelevant, because the competition is a Games Workshop competition, and if you choose to enter it, that's down to you, and you can't complain if you enter a Games Workshop competition judged with the way Games Workshop decide to judge it. However, what I would say is, based on my experience, so I've been going to Golden Demon for a long time, been entering Golden Demon since the 90s, and in this particular one rather, I did feel that there were, so taking my entry completely out of the situation, because to try and avoid any bias, but there were pieces in this Golden Demon that were amazing, that in any other Golden Demon, if it was a UK Golden Demon or whatever, I would expect to get trophies. And in this case, many of them they didn't even get commended. They were just given a finalist pin. And it made me a little bit uncomfortable, because due to my experience when I saw them, and it wasn't just a case of looking at them in the cabinets, because you have to be a bit careful when judging the results of a competition like this, either based on the photos at the end, because the photos are they're not always an accurate representation of the models, but also just seeing them in the cabinet, because it really depends on the lighting, and you don't get to see them close up. You don't see exactly what the artist was going for when they painted the piece. So to really see what a model looks like, you need to look at it under a painting lamp, and that's what we did. After the competition, we got there was quite a few of us, we're all friends generally that go to Golden Demon. We see each other at every, because you meet the same people over and over when you go to these competitions. So we got a little area at the Artist Opus stand, because they had painting lamps there, and we just looked at each other's models. So we got a really good understanding of what models were like that won trophies, and what models that hadn't won trophies were in comparison. And it just, as I said, some of the models that didn't do as well as you would expect, they were so good, and it just felt a bit disappointing to me. As I said, completely ignoring how my model did. But besides that, you can't really take anything away from the winners, because they were all really good as well. And that's something else. In this Golden Demon in particular, the standard was very high. And now it's not like every Golden Demon the standard is very high, but the proportion of well painted pieces to kind of like finalists and notable entries, it was stacked very top heavy. There was, if anything, there was so many well painted pieces, it was harder to judge, to go through picking out the best pieces than it would have been to make the cut from not placing to get into notable. Normally for those sort of things, it's quite quick when judging, because I've judged competitions myself. It's quite quick to be able to see the very high standard painted pieces because they stand out from the other painting. You have professional painters or people that spend months or years even sometimes on pieces, and you can just spot that straight away because of the amount of time and effort and skill involved. And so it's usually quite quick to pick out the very top layer. But in this Golden Demon, the overall standard was so high that seemed quite hard, and that might also be part of the reason why some of the amazing painted pieces didn't do as well as expected, because even though they were super amazingly painted, everything was painted well, so it's harder to spot them because they don't stand out quite as clearly. Another thing that I wanted to cover as well is, because I posted pictures of my model after the event, and a few people were quite shocked with the fact that I didn't do as well as I was hoping based on the photos, and there were a few comments that said if this doesn't get like a commended or whatever, why would I bother entering the competition, because if that's only commended, or not even commended, how good are the winners in comparison? And it's a little bit of a misunderstanding on the competition in general, because it's not a case of each successive layer of award is exponentially higher than the previous one. There are things that are painted that are in the finalist category. So as I said, so from my perspective, it looked like they were undervalued in the judging. But again, that's just my outside perspective. Like, ultimately, as I said, my opinion doesn't matter. But there are pieces like the standard and the quality of painting. So in terms of refinement, brush control, atmosphere, all sorts of different criteria, there were pieces in finalist or notable that were the equivalent standard of painting as those that won trophies. And it's important to remember that. So just because you're looking at a piece that hasn't performed very well and you think, oh, well, if that that isn't very good, the other ones must be better, it's not it doesn't work like that. It's just a case of whatever one has achieved, has got something about it that the judges liked. Now, it could be anything. It could be due to IP related issues. It could be any number of factors. It could be just that a piece really represents something that fits in incredibly well with the Warhammer background, or like a really cool idea, or it's just framed nicely. Things like that. It's not all about the quality of the painting. So don't be too discouraged sometimes if you see an amazingly painted piece and it hasn't done that well, and think, well, there's no point in me entering, because if that doesn't win, then I can't even paint to that standard. How could I ever achieve something that's a trophy standard, because those must be better? Like I said, it doesn't really work like that. And there were pieces that were, so if you actually, I mentioned earlier, you can't really tell clearly based on the photos, but if you go and look through the photos, there are very different qualities to each of the winners. So some of them were incredibly atmospheric, some of them were just ultra refined. There are different things for each piece that made them stand out. Some had multiple reasons why they would have won. Others, it might just be one thing that they've done exceptionally well. All these things, it's important to keep all these things in mind. If you're someone that can achieve all of these things that Games Workshop are looking for in their trophy winners, then you have a really high chance of winning. The real question is knowing what it is that they're looking for. And it would be nice, I think, for Games Workshop to have an in-depth sort of list of criteria of what it is they're actually looking for in the competitions, because I do feel for the last few Golden Demons they're looking for something maybe a little bit different than what they were previously when it was the heavy metal team judging. Also, just to, in a similar vein, just to talk about something about the standard of the Golden Demon, because I saw quite a few comments saying, "Oh, this is the best Golden Demon ever," and that kind of thing, and that gets said at nearly every Golden Demon. And from my perspective, this just seemed like a nice high standard Golden Demon. It didn't seem exceptionally different from any of the others, really. And just to illustrate that, I think off the top of my head, there was at minimum 4 pieces that won trophies that were re-entries from previous Golden Demons that hadn't placed. So keeping that in mind, it was like I was saying, where the standard between the finalist and the trophy winner, just with some small tweaks so that it hits something that maybe the judges are looking for, can elevate it from getting nothing to getting a gold trophy. It's a very, very fine sort of window that you're working with for what wins and what doesn't. So just moving on from that now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the different categories. A few people have talked about, and this was a big thing actually when Adepticon came out, because the categories were mixed up a bit. Some were jammed together, so you had the 40k large and 40k vehicle category. They were amalgamated. They also added things like Horus Heresy, Underworlds, Necromunda, small scale. So in many of those cases, people were like, well, why do they have an old world category that could fit into Age of Sigmar? Why do they have Horus Heresy that could be in 40k? The Horus Heresy category in particular, that it features single models, units, vehicles, titans, whatever, from the 30k universe. And that seems a bit confusing when you have the 40k categories and everything split out, where you have the single model, unit, large and vehicle. So it seems a little bit disjointed, but at the same time you have to remember that 30k is a much smaller system than 40k. So if you combined 30k and 40k into, so everything that's in 30k could then be put into the 40k equivalent category, the 30k representation would pretty much vanish. So having a very focused category of everything 30k means that it's actually ends up being a strong category, but it just becomes a little bit more tricky separating out what is a winner and what isn't, because you will have things like a Primarch competing against a unit of jet bikes or something like that. But ultimately, still the painting and the atmosphere and how well it fits in with the setting will still be relevant. But it does mean that the categories are a little bit artificial. One interesting thing I thought, though, was that because of these extra categories, people thought there would be easy categories. So, especially for things like Blood Bowl and Underworlds and Necromunda, the thinking would be, the 40k and Age of Sigmar single units and things like that, they're such hard categories to enter that I'm going to enter an easy category to have more chance of getting a trophy, because people will focus on the main games and not on these smaller systems. But actually, and this was incredibly true for Necromunda, I was actually kind of shocked when I saw it, and it made me happy as well, because I think Necromunda was my favourite category. If you looked at the cabinet with all the entries, and the standard was so high overall in Necromunda. I mean, the 3 winners were also amazing, but just going through all the different shelving levels in the cabinets, everything was just really, really high standard. And I think the standard for that category was, if anything, harder to get into the top 3 than any of the other categories. It was so stacked with quality. But in contrast to that, I was super disappointed with the open category. I'm not entirely sure what the judges are looking for in Open. It seems very random about what is actually in the category. It seems to me, and like, I am being a bit of a hypocrite because I stick spare models. It's almost seen now like the overflow category. So if you've got a model that you've put in 40k single, you can't then put a model, and you've got another spare 40k single model and you don't know what to do with it. You stick it in Open. And it also, so Open category, it's not a category, it's actually a separate competition. So if you win a trophy in the Open competition, you get a plaque. You don't get a Golden Demon trophy. And that is also open to Games Workshop staff. So there were, I think there was a couple of Games Workshop staff that entered. But because it's in a different country, it's not quite as easy for the staff to actually get there to enter the competition. In the UK, the Open competition is a very, very, very difficult category because you will have the heavy metal team entering in it, and there'll be quite a few of them. So the standard overall will be very high. Now, there were changes made very clearly for this Golden Demon that you were not allowed to get somebody else to sculpt your model, or for you to pay commission someone to sculpt your model and then you paint it. What used to happen was you get large scale pieces made by a professional sculptor. Someone would do that for you and then you would then paint it. And this has now been completely banned. You are still free to sculpt a large scale piece and then paint it and enter it yourself. So it's not a case of large scale pieces are banned, completely self-sculpted pieces are banned. That's all fine, but it's actually really hard to do that. It takes a long time, and you have to be exceptionally good at sculpting and painting to win if you do that. And because it's now banned for you to pay someone to sculpt a model for you, you just did not really get any really large-scale pieces. I think there was one or two things that have been done, but it wasn't like previous Golden Demons where there were, the cabinets were overflowing with all these custom large-scale pieces. They look amazing, but they're now completely gone. So the cabinet looks a little bit empty, and I'm not sure exactly what to do. What Games Workshop could do with it. Maybe it could be a case of that the category should be focusing on just wild out there ideas. So anything that wouldn't fit into a normal category should be maybe given more focus, maybe even things that are more fun. So quite often at Golden Demon you'll see someone and they'll maybe paint a knight and they'll paint it so it looks like a trifle, or weird, kind of wonderful, but is never going to win anything. But maybe things like that just don't fit within the setting, but they're still using Games Workshop pieces and they're still painted or whatever. But maybe something like that could be more relevant in an Open competition where you'll judge it purely based on, does it look cool, is it painted well, rather than worrying about how well it fits the setting. I don't know, maybe that's a dumb idea, but I do feel that the category, or the competition rather, it needs something else to make it exciting, because, as I said, it just seemed to me like there was a few nice high-end pieces in it, but ultimately most of the stuff was just leftover pieces that people had that they stuck in Open because they'd already got something entered in another category, and they couldn't then, they couldn't do anything with the other models that they got. So moving on from that now, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the awards that you would get. So at the previous Golden Demon, a new award was brought in, and it's called the Notable Award. So what it used to be at Golden Demon is you would have finalist, commended, trophy. So now there are notable, finalist, commended, trophy. The notable takes the place of what the finalist used to be. And it can get a bit confusing as well, because when you hear the word finalist, people think, oh, that must be then competing for a trophy. But no, from the finalists, you then pick the commended. And there was probably like 6 or 7, depending on the quality of the category and how many high-end pieces there are, 6 or 7 commended entries. And then, I don't know, however many finalists. And, there'll be quite a few notable entries. And then below that, that's when you haven't achieved an award. But because of this new award level, it's now meant that finalist is a harder thing to achieve, which is a bit confusing, especially for those of us that have been going to Golden Demon for a long time, because it always used to be, finalist was the first stage. If you haven't got finalist, then something's gone very wrong. Now you have to get the notable entry or notable award, then you go to finalist. But because of this, and it used to be that quite a few finalist pins were given out. Now there are a lot fewer finalist pins given out because notable takes its place. But at the same time, that's also a little bit annoying because the notable award is just a card. It's quite a nice high quality card, but it's just a card. And then the finalist is still the same finalist pin that you would have got before. So the same trophy, if you like, is now worth more in terms of award level, but it looks the same as what would have been the first cut. Also, there is a slight distinction between the Adepticon and the European Golden Demon here. I don't know what the reasoning is, but at Adepticon, the cards that you get for notable and finalist and commended, they're white. So they're white with embossed gold lettering on, and they'll either say notable, finalist, or commended. I'm not actually sure if you get a. I don't think you actually get a card for finalist even. It's just the pin. So you'll get your notable entry, and then you'll get a finalist pin as well to notify that you're a finalist. So there isn't actually a card for finalist, but they're white anyway with gold embossed lettering. Whereas in the UK and the European Gold Demons, they are black cards with gold embossed lettering, and I don't know why they're separated out like that. I don't think there's any meaning between the quality of the awards. It's not like in America the quality of the Golden Demon is lesser, so you only get a white card instead of a black card or anything like that. It's just like a little weird idiosyncrasy. One thing that was disappointing though is that at Adepticon, with your certificate, you were given a sort of like a perspex frame that said the year of the Golden Demon, and it had a little stand on it so you could stick it on your shelf, and it felt like you had actually got like a substantial trophy. That was gone for this Golden Demon. I don't know what the reason for that was, because I really appreciated it at the Adepticon. So even then, regardless of the award that you got, if you got an award, you felt like you had achieved something. In this one, especially if you've got a notable and you're going away with a little card, little certificate, tiny little card, it doesn't feel as special as if it was a card within a frame that it was a nice quality frame that you then put on the shelf or whatever that people can see. So you treated it like a trophy. On the topic of awards, though, the awards ceremony was quite nice this year. So Games Workshop have been listening to feedback, and one of the changes they made this time was, and this is something I would have been happy about if I'd actually got a commended. So what happens is, if you have a commended award, you first of all you get early access into the award ceremony area. Because if they have to call you up onto stage, obviously you need easy access to get up onto the stage. And also, when they would do the category, and you'll be able to see all this because I've got the awards ceremony at the end of this video, so if you're interested to see how any of it works, you can go and watch that after I've finished talking about all this. But what happens is, when they call out the category that you have your commended entry for, everyone then goes up onto the stage, and then they will call the winners, and then you step forward from the little group of commended people. Now, I always found that a little bit stressful. I don't like being in front of large audiences anyway. And the nice thing about Golden Demon now is that there are huge audiences. So when you win something, there's lots of clapping and cheering, and it's quite rewarding if you win something. But at the same time, like I say, if you don't like large groups of people looking at you, it can be a bit scary. So now they've changed it so that if you are not comfortable going up on the stage, you can stay sitting, because remember, the commended are all at the front anyway. So you only need to get up on stage to collect your award, shake hands with the judge and collect your award. You don't have to stand up there, because it was quite an uncomfortable feeling when you're all stood there in your little group. They call out the winners, and then the losers, and it feels bad to call them losers because ultimately it's a little bit of a sometimes you just have to pick the trophies from the group of commended pieces, and there's no actual reason why you can pick them. Like, they could all be equally good for different reasons. So the standard of painting is that high sometimes on the commended pieces. But ultimately, there will be 3 people called out, and the rest of you are left standing there with everyone looking at you thinking, oh, those are the people that haven't won a trophy. Actually, no one's thinking that because they're all looking at the winners, because the winners' piece is posted on a projector behind you, like really huge. But, it can be a bit uncomfortable anyway. And especially at Adepticon, this was especially bad because there were fewer entries in categories, which translated to fewer commended pieces. And in some cases, there were only 3 or 4 commended entries. So when your group was called out, if you had 3 commended entries in the category, everyone there, they all knew they were getting a trophy, so there was zero tension involved and everyone could be relaxed because it doesn't matter. If there were 4, there's 1 person left that didn't get anything, and then the other 3 get the trophy, and that's just awful for the person that's left behind. So now, if you didn't want to go up on stage to be part of the little group that gets judged, you could stay sitting. If they called you out for a trophy, then you could go up on stage and get the trophy. If not, it didn't matter because you didn't have to be in front of everyone. And I really appreciated that, because not everyone likes to be, as I say, up on stage in front of everyone with bright lights and everyone looking at you. It can be a little bit scary. And finally, one thing I just wanted to talk about in terms of the Golden Demon is feedback, because it's one of the biggest things that people complain about, and I really understand where Games Workshop is coming from with this, because if you don't win a trophy, you want to know why, or whatever level of award it is that you didn't achieve, you want to know why. So the temptation is to go, you want to know what the judges think, what their reasoning is. But the thing is, there are a lot of models entered, and if it's hard work to you've just spent a long time judging, very intense focused work, and then after that people all want to know why it is that they didn't specifically win, which can be a very hard thing because people become focused on their model and why that didn't win, rather than why their model didn't beat another piece that was painted better or painted differently or fitted whatever criteria it is that Games Workshop are looking for. And that's a very important distinction, because a judge can give you feedback and say how to improve your piece, and even if you did every single thing that they say would improve your piece, it doesn't mean it would still get an award. It doesn't mean it will achieve anything more than it already achieved, because ultimately you are competing against other people, and I think it's easy to lose sight of that. But what I did find at this Golden Demon, and it's also been true for other ones, but particularly at this one for me anyway, was that because Games Workshop don't provide feedback for your models and give you reasons for why you did or didn't place, people were coming up to pro painters and asking for feedback from them instead. And I would say probably 70 or 80% of my time was spent giving feedback to people for their models while I was there. People would just grab me while I was walking around the cabinets and ask me if I could look at the model in the cabinet and give feedback, or after the event people would come up, and so I get like a really close look at the model and can give more in-depth responses as well. And that was true for a lot of people, not just me giving feedback, but loads of other pro painters were there giving feedback. And I think this is really nice because we're giving feedback partly due to our experience of Golden Demon, so we have a little bit of knowledge of what to do to a model to give you a better chance of winning a trophy, but also irrelevant of Golden Demon, you can still improve as a painter. And indeed, it's also really, really worth paying attention to the fact that it doesn't matter how many golden demons you have or anything like that. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're a better painter than other people. There are people that never enter Golden Demon that are amazing painters. There are other competitions. You've got like Monte Sansovino, Scale Model Challenge, that kind of thing. And in some cases, the pieces that do exceptionally well in those competitions, you could enter them in Golden Demon and they wouldn't get anything. And the true is also vice versa. You could get gold winning pieces at Golden Demon, enter them at Monte Sansovino, and again they get nothing. So different competitions have different criteria for what they want to win, and when people can give you feedback, they're just looking at the piece as an art piece as such, while also having elements of Golden Demon in it. So quite often I'd be giving feedback and I'd be giving advice on how you could improve certain elements of it, and then I would also give the caveat that this probably won't make any difference to the result of a Golden Demon if you actually did this, but it would improve the painting, your ability to paint the model, and maybe more suitable for other competitions where they would take that into a greater account. But that's pretty much all I've got to say about this Golden Demon. I will say that if you are a little bit cautious about entering at Essen, because I think they're going to use the same venue again. Like, don't quote me on that, I might be wrong, but I think they probably will. And if you've not been there before, it could be a little bit stressful getting there, not knowing what to do, where to go, all that kind of stuff. Which was true for me, and I actually found it was very easy to get there. If you're going from the UK, it's only an hour flight, and what you'll do is you'll fly into Dusseldorf, and then it's only a very, very short journey from Dusseldorf to Essen. So it's not that bad, and all the transport options are very easy to use. I didn't have any problem getting around. Loads of people speak English, so don't make that a reason not to enter Golden Demon if you want to go to a European Golden Demon. And the reason I say that is because I don't know when there's going to be a UK one next either, so it might just be the case that if you want to go to a Golden Demon, and because America is so far away, that the European Golden Demon might be your only option at the moment. So that's pretty much all I've got to say about this Golden Demon. There's just a few photos left here for you to have a look at. So you can see some of the other things that were entered as well, and then I've got the award ceremony at the end of the video, so I won't be giving any commentary on the award ceremony. It's purely there mainly for the winners and the committed entry finalists to watch if they want to, so they can see themselves getting an award. Unfortunately my camera did run out at one point, so I had to switch over to my phone, so there's a slight gap there, but apart from that it's all featured, and you get the Slayer Sword winner at the end. Not ideal recording situations, but Games Workshop did say that we were allowed to record it, so hopefully you will be able to see something if you were a winner and be able to relive it a little bit. There was no audio on this very first part. This is the only section where there's no audio. You're about to hear the applause come in.
Yeah. Goes to David Burke. And taking gold in Youngbloods, Henry Niemeyer. Baptiste Richet, Pierre Riebrand, Christian Clausen, and Magnus Nielsen. Baptiste Richet. Silver, Christian Clausen. in the open, Pierre Ibrahim. You could almost guess that folks thought Necromunda might be an easy category to take a trophy in if they submitted a really nice model. But basically everybody had that idea, which was the case in basically every category this year.
I love this category. I thought it was
Our commended in Necromunda, Ramon Rodriguez Prats, John Garrity, Rodrigo Lucas Frias, and now taking bronze in Necromunda, Rodrigo Lucas Frias. Taking silver, Pandarian. Gold in Necromunda, John Garrity. Our commended in Epic, Dia Lamoury, Joshka Putchin, Gregor Pilarski, Guido Günther, Camille Pizarra, and James Taylor. Taking bronze, Gregor Pilarski. Taking silver, Guido Günther. And taking gold in epic scale, James Terry.
Yes! Yes!
Now committed to Blood Bowl are Wojciech Grigorczyk, Rodrigo Lucas Frias, Pablo Lopez Jimeno, Nicholas Morrison, and Marcus Guillen. Taking bronze in Blood Bowl, Marcus Guillen. Rodrigo Lucas Frias. Finally taking gold in Blood Bowl, Nicholas Rubens Morrison. Bart Willem Schermer, Stefan Berenson, Nicholas Rubens Mortensen, Neil House, and Sal Estate. Taking bronze in Horse Heresy, Saul Estate. Taking silver, Nicholas Rubens Mortensen. Taking gold in the Horus Heresy, Neil Hollis.
Yes,
Ladislav Maya, Baptiste Richer, Mohamed Ait Mehdi, Lukas Borowick, and Rafael Garcia. Rafael Garcia. Ladislav Maya. Baptiste Richer. Now our commended finalists from Middle-earth: Alexander Hay, Baptiste Richer, Christian Clausen, Afanas Makati, Jordan Toner, and Mohamed Ait Mehdi. Alexander Hay. Taking silver, Baptiste Richer. And taking gold in Middle-earth, Jordan Toner. Angelo DiCello and Patricia Sancho Galera. Thomas Lush. Taking silver, Patricia Sancho Galera. Squigs. I love that Warhammer, you can just say one word and it's a joke. Sorry for the delay, guys. Taking gold, Jonathan DeVos. Ben Comets, Evelina Oscar, Simon Sikora, Erica Martier, and Andy Ward. Taking bronze, Evelina Nakoska. Taking silver, Andy Wardle. And taking gold, Erica Martin. Taking bronze, Kevin Kotos. Taking silver, Francisco Potsdam. And taking gold in large miniature vehicle for Wimmer 40,000, Jamie Corbett. Our finalists are Gabriel Don, Pablo Garcia Salinas, Lucas Java, Liam Heron, Christian Clausen, and Angelo DiCello. Taking silver, Christian Clausen. Our finalists are Eric Lamondia, Andy Wardle, Lucas Kuhn, Leon Nassar, Leon Nassar, Rodrigo Lucas Frias, and Pawak. Taking bronze, Rodrigo Lucas Frias. Taking silver, Pavel Makuch. And taking gold in diorama and duel, Eric Lamont. Our commended finalists in this very large category, Michael Hugo Bader, Matthew City, Leon Nassar, Albert Loretta Font, Magnus Nielsen, Anthony Smith, Angela DeCecco, Kenny Moore, and Lucas Zara. Magnus Nielsen. Taking silver, Anthony Smith. And finally, with gold, Albert Moreno. Our commended finalists, Sten Fröden, Nicholas Rubens Mortensen, Karl Goebel, Marco Schmidtkunst, Matthew City, Iris Stassen, Nacho Gonzalez, Lucas Taking bronze, Nicholas Rubens Mortensen. Taking silver, Yuri Stassen. And finally, with gold in Warhammer 40,000 single miniature, Lucas Zaki. And it's funny, I told Roman, I showed him the sword when he got here, and he looked at me and said, "No thanks, I've already got one." And then you lift it over your head. Whenever that person lifts it over their head, I expect everyone to be even louder. David Perry. Yeah!